I'm recording it now. I hope that everyone can see the screen. Is it seen properly? Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Thank you very much. And right, we will start the lecture. The today's lecture is a straightforward one, relatively very easy one. Okay, but nevertheless, you may ask questions and try to link what we are going to learn today to the previous learning. So last week we had, of course, that was also this week. So Tuesday we had the previous lecture on cost assignment. Actually, cost assignment is pretty much connected to this. If I summarize the meaning of the previous lecture, cost assignment, it's nothing but assigning costs into products. Then I explained you, it becomes little bit um, calculative or complex or sophisticated only and only when the organization produces different types of products which are distinct from each other. Otherwise, cost assignment is easy. We need not to distinguish or separate cost into direct and indirect. Then I summarize and told you that in practical situations, all the organizations produce more than one product. So therefore, cost classification is required into direct and indirect, and cost assignment is needed. Last week lecture, in fact, the one student also just asked the question why it was not like, can we have it in the LMS? I faced a technical problem of converting the recorded file. The lecture was recorded in 3 files, but due to some other reasons, when they were converted into the video file, it got stuck and in like some message error message was indicated. So I could not convert, but the IT people said that no, it can be converted, but still that was not resolved. Once that is resolved, I will upload the file. Otherwise, for the time being, what you can do, you can listen to any other file, because other lecturers also have uploaded their sessions. Then you can listen to one of those uploaded files. What really matters is the understanding. So how cost assignment is going to relate to job costing that we are going to learn today. Job, if the particular, like, if I just recall what we learned last week, single product costing is easy. So when it comes to now, in the case the previous lecture, I ask you to define the two terms, cost assignment. What is meant by cost? Here today also we'll discuss. So then we discuss about cost assignment, because these two words are general terms, then easy to understand. By the same way, first we will identify the meaning of job costing. Job costing. The technical meanings are also there. First of all, for the simplicity of understanding, we better define what a job is and what a costing is. So job is a day-to-day word, general word. It could be anything, right? But when we say a job is very specific, right? We have some underworld jobs also there. So giving a contract to kill somebody, that's a job. Inside jobs, contracts, getting something done. So the job is very specific. Then what is the cost? So already we learned about the cost. Now we will go one by one, step by step. So ascertainment of cost of a job is job costing. Therefore, job costing relates to cost assignment. This is the next step of cost assignment. Um, Learning outcomes. You must be able to explain the need for costing methods. Why do you need to have costing methods? We will be discussing. Even now, you can figure out, you can think of why do you need to have costing methods. There may be different ways of producing in a way. If there is only single way, single process, single product, so need not to worry about costing methods. There are many different things. So we'll discuss. But in a nutshell, පැහැදිලි නේද ඒක? අපිට මේ අපි learning outcome එකක් තමයි ඇයි අපිට costing methods අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ කියලා පැහැදිලි කරගන්න. ඒක costing methods අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ විවිධ විදිහට products කරන ක්‍රම තියෙනවා. Production modes වෙනස් වෙනවා. So එතකොට මේ need එක වෙනස් වෙනවා. So very simple. Second objective is distinguish between specific order costing and continuous order costing system. Two concepts have been given: specific order costing system and continuous. So as the word suggests, specific order means specifically identifiable. Here the word order is there. Actually order is not necessarily be there, but in textbooks it is used as specific order costing. That means specific jobs can be identified, specific tasks can be identified, something like this. But in the case of continuous order costing system, for specific tasks could be there, but the production takes place as a continuous process for homogeneous products, samana products. Continuously production එක යනවා, similar type of product but different models, but large number of quantities are produced in one type, one model. So that has to be understood first before learning job costing, because next lesson will be on process costing. Then we need to describe what is meant by job costing. What is meant by job costing? Already I just gave you some idea. For learning purposes, if you can remember that idea, that is more than enough. Costing, job costing is nothing but ascertainment of costs of a specified job. And job could be this. I'll explain. Finally, with these understandings, explanation, and distinguishing things, you must be able to do the last task, that is the calculations, recording, and interpretation, things like that. Basically, as far as learning outcomes are concerned, you are required to calculate only. So calculations won't give you much. Please stop me and ask question at any point in time in case if you come across a question or if anything is not clear. So I try to speak a bit slow. I do not speed up my talking. Then I hope that you can understand what I say, right? But if you need further explanation or in Sinhala, please let me know. I hope everyone understand what I say, isn't it? Don't you? So can you grasp what I say? Hello. Okay. Very good. Very good. Then, so we will continue. Keep like the discussion would be in English, right? So then we can improve like conversations. As long as you understand it, that's all right. But sometimes there may be complications or some complexities. Then we better try to explain it in Sinhala as well. All right. General points. What is cost? Already I explained you. Cost is only a term. It's nothing but value of resources sacrificed. That is how you should keep it in your mind. Value of resources. What are the resources? Resources could be anything. Physical resources, virtual resources, even time. So this is the time that I'm talking, lecturing. This is a resource. And what is the value? So that is the salary that I get, right? So financial value. There could be some other values, but when it comes to calculation, quantification, we do not take other values, social values, embedded values. So we do not take. We take only financial values. Then financial values of resources sacrificed is the cost. How does it vary from expenses? Already discussed. Expense. So another beauty like common feature you can see in especially management, accounting, finance. So lots of terminologies are general words, day-to-day words. Cost is also seen in a dictionary with the same meaning. Expense is also with the same meaning. But when it comes to our subject, we give a little bit modified meaning, right? So expense for a the student who learns management, accounting, or these businesses, expense categorically means the consumed cost. In other words, cost incurred for a given time period for accounting purposes. Actually, expense comes from financial accounting. So therefore, cost varies from expense, or cost could be expense. For example, a baker manufactured a loaf of bread. What is the cost? You do all the calculation, cost is 50 rupees. 50 rupees. Assume that only one bread, or maybe 100 breads. Cost is 50 into 100, right? So therefore, 5,000 rupees. That is the cost. Baker produced it. And the as long as like now that could be written somewhere. Cost of producing 100 breads, 5,000 rupees. So on the same day, those 100 loaves of breads are sold for 6,000 rupees. Then if you want to prepare a particular statement, or if you want to talk about what is the end result of this activity, these are two activities: you produce and sold. That's it. You need not to have any business registered and big company, just simple task: produced and sold. But from business language, if you want to say what is the performance of this task, what is the result? You earn, your 5,000 became 6,000. Therefore, there is a profit. How do you measure in business language? You have revenue, your income 6,000, you deduct 5,000, that is your cost in a way. But in the standard income statement, we do not say like this. How do we say? We say revenue from sales. So sales revenue, 6,000. Cost of sales. Then here there are no any addition, deduction, because we bought only what we wanted and produce and finish. No raw materials or finished goods left. So therefore, all the expenses you incurred, your entire cost become expense. You see? So in that particular case, cost of loaves of 100 grits 5,000 becomes exactly the expense 5,000. So therefore, there could be seen instances where the cost could be exactly equivalent to expense, but it cannot be an expense unless and until that is consumed. But still, even after consumed expense, still you can say that yes, last week I produced bread, or last week my production cost was this much. So last week it was 5,000. Now government imposed additional tax, or salary was increased. So this week cost of production of a loaf of bread is has gone up to 51. So you can say the cost of production has changed. So that is a different information. You got it? So once the cost is incurred, that's it. That's it. So that's there. We do not worry whether what we did with those products. We are not worried. But the expense varies according to what we do. You produce 5,000, so whatever 100, but you were able to sell only 90. You were able to sell only 90. Then 60 into 90, 5,400. Then your revenue is much. And cost would be then 50 into 94,500. Difference is just 900. In that case, expense becomes 4,500, whereas still total cost of production is 5,000. Now you see, now cost can vary from expense. Cost can vary from expense. Sometimes some items which are considered to be expense are included in again costs. For example, depreciations of machines or any other equipment um, to manufacture another product. For example, table. Or in order to manufacture a table, you may use some machines, grinding or polishing, whatever, cutting machines and all these things. In your production plant, those machines are depreciated. Right? Normally, how do we understand depreciation? Depreciation goes to your income statement as an expense. But in that case, your depreciations of machines, cutting machines, polishing machines, and all those things should be added on to the table. So it's one form of existence. It existed in a form of machines. Then once it is utilized, value went down. That part of the value was included in another asset table. Once the table is sold, it becomes an expense. So it's very, very important to understand the relationship between these two terms. But when you use in day-to-day conversation or any other situation, even when you write answers to general management, either you use the word expense or cost, it does not make big difference. For example, business management. In a case of cost, you may use the word expense, no problem. But remember, if you use the word expense in place of cost when you prepare financial statements or decision making something, so that might make differences. That's why we got to be very careful. The cost versus value. Another two things actually, the value is also used in our management. What are the value terms? Fair value, exit value, present value, net present value, so many things, right? What is the value? Or exchange value, embedded value, market value. So many values are there. How does the value vary from, yes, very good. Time value, good, very good. Time value of money. Value. How is value going to be different from cost? Like in the case of cost and expenses, there could be instances where even cost and value could be the same. Could be the same. For example, yes, I take the example of the bread, 50 rupees. That is the cost. What is the value? Value. If I exchange it, so now assume that due to some other reason you decided to sell at 50, not keeping any profit. So therefore, if you sell it at 50, value to the consumer who buys by paying 50, so his resources of 50 goes up. So therefore, there's a value embedded in that 50, the value of 50. So that is the value. So use value, I'm going to use it to kill my hunger. Therefore, to kill my hunger, I happen to sacrifice another resources that I have earned by working. That is 50 rupees kept in my pocket, I gave it. So I sacrifice. So therefore, there is a value to me. Value of the bread is 50. Value of the cost of the bread to the producer 50. Therefore, cost is going to be equivalent to value. But value may be different. Value may be different. How? So if you use the bread just for killing your hunger, that is 50. Or now you know that the producer does not normally sell at 50, will be sold at 60. Therefore, it becomes the exchange value. In that case, value to the consumer becomes 60, not 50. Market value, right? So even if you want, you can say that the cost of bread to me is 60, but cost of bread to the producer 50. Now you see the variations, more or less. Value also is not hypothetical concept, but it also entails to cost. Actually, all those concepts, value, expenses, those things entail to cost. So value is finally the uh, um, the accumulated resources or resources sacrificed. At this point, I would like to talk a little bit about other forms of values as well. There is another value called value in use. You buy this loaf of bread and eat it for 60 rupees. What is the value in use? Just 60, you use it. But you use it for something else. Maybe you use as some other, you make it, mix it with some other things, and you go to a pond and use it as a, um, a bite for catching fish. You catch a big fish. Fish has a market value is uh, 50,000 rupees or whatever, or maybe 1 account. So just giving this example may not be that much appropriate, but you can think of, because you are not using the bread for the purpose of eating, but for something else. So that value is called value in use. You use it for different purpose. So benefits that you are gaining from that particular purpose is something else. So that fish is worth of 5,000. Then value in use of that particular bread is not simple 60 rupees, but 5,000 rupees. Value in use it may be different. Right? So, so you have a knife. You used to cut your things at home and prepare food. Then there's a particular value of that particular knife. You use the same knife to stab someone and kill your enemy. Don't do this. Just telling you. So value in use is, so the same thing can be used for different purposes. So benefits getting from different purposes are different. So therefore value being used is also different. But I just told you because sometimes these things are not discussed that much in our day-to-day learning in other subjects as well. Then as someone said, time value, I'm not going to explain because you know. There is a value or the price paid for the time differences. So we calculate it by using discounted cash flow. And some values called embedded value. Embedded value embedded in that particular item. From political economy, value is explained when you take any product, it is explained in two kind of value. Actually, two types of labor values. One is living labor, and embedded labor. Value of any product, that they call value of any product, can be explained in two types of labor. One is living labor, the other one is embedded labor. Take an example of, say, yeah, example of the same example of table, right? So how do you manufacture a table? Machines also can be used. Assume that you use lots of machines, and at the same time, uh, um, people also, workers, put their labor. For them, this much money is given. 10,000 is given. That is the value of living labor, 10,000. But the cost of the table is not 10,000, 50,000. The balance part comes from the value of wood, so value of other attention use, equipment and all. So if you go to particular further breakdown or decaliber this one by one, how this particular wood was made up, again labor did it. You cut trees, fell trees and polish, and finally so labor is there. If you go to the machine, who manufactured machine? Again people. Likewise, if you decalibrate the things and decompose all these things into the final point, then you find labor. So that is something else not related to this subject. For your general understanding, I explain we can explain the value of any item in two terms, living labor and the embedded labor. So now um, we'll move on to what's a job. Now, job costing, we should know exactly what is meant by job. It could be any object, any cost object. Already we talked about cost object. What is a cost object? A single product, a bundle products. There could be a bundle. For example, you buy a house, and or together with that other things, maybe that particular bundle comes not only with the house. So whenever you bid for the house, they ask you to buy the land as well. Sometimes you provide your land, they construct the house. There is a land, house, and they will tell you, okay, I will do this landscaping for you. So it's a bundle. So likewise, when you buy a job, like entire task is called a job in that case. So what I want to simply tell you, job does not always mean that there is a single distinct identifiable product from others. It could be a single, yes. It could be a bundle. It depends. Sometimes you just give an order to manufacture different sizes of um, products, shirts, t-shirts, large, XL, small, medium, likewise. So 100 from each, 400 from large and XL, 50 from small. So that is a job. That job has a bundle of products. That is the understanding, right? A batch of a product, sometimes a particular batch, some say organizations, so they are in the bottle, how to say, bottle manufacturing, or maybe preparation of some liquid drinks, Coca-Cola, yogurts, different types of. So in one batch, once you set all these ingredients, exactly a certain number of products will come out. Maybe 1,000 batches of 1,150, 10 to likewise. So that's called batch processing system. And any other distinct form. There is no hard and fast rule that these are the only ways. Simply remember that job, no matter how it exists, right, in what form it exists, it could be anything separately identifiable. So job costing is nothing but ascertainment of the cost of the job that we simply described. What consists of costs? If you decompose, you may find so many thousands and one items. But for the simplicity, for general understanding purposes, and standard based ways of practices, it is pretty much enough for us to classify them into three major groups. Okay, so example of batches. Okay, 1 minute. So I'll just first explain this first and come back to this. The cost. So what consists of costs? Could be any, but for the simplicity, we first divide them into direct, indirect. But if you further open them up, you may see materials, you may see labor component, that is the time, you may see some other additional expenses in different forms. So therefore, major three categories: material, labor, and overheads. That's it. Within which you can go further explanation. Batch processing, say even um, bread production is also a batch. For example, when that particular place, their burners and these machines are fixed, only for one period of time, say 50 minutes, switches are on, only certain number of breads can be produced. Even if you want to say, assume that your job is to produce 500 breads, but your place does not have that much capacity. In one time, you can produce only 300. What do? The first batch, you need to mix all the ingredients, flour, everything for adequate for 300 breads, and place them into separate containers, and uh, send them into that particular processing place, and switch on if it is could be electric, or maybe using firewood, whatever. So you place it there and keep it for half an hour, 1 hour, or whatever the time. Then you get the outcome 300 beds. So therefore the batch is 300. And so that is a very simple example, right, that we can easily understand. But if you go to sophisticated manufacturing, like equipments, actually they are produced in batches, large number, even a small chip. Take your mobile phone. Those mobile phone has so many different components, right? Mobile phone is assembled. Within the mobile phone, inside there are different types of chips. Maybe the main board of the mobile phone is manufactured in batches. Then the cost of a batch is ascertained. Then total cost of the batch is divided by the number of products in that batch. Then we know that batch of a particular mother, whatever the board, or a simple chip, or any other ingredient, the component, what is the cost. So that cost, so cost of a particular product, cost of a chip or a board, switchboard in one batch may vary from another, because the next time, tomorrow, you get ready to produce the same batch, but the cost may have gone up, government may have increased the things, or due to some other reasons. So therefore, cost of a chip or a board tomorrow may be different. If you assume that entire mobile phone is produced in, like, all these things are assembled, maybe in batch form sometimes. Even you may see even biscuits, most of the products are produced in batches. Then whatever the product that you come across, if you want, what you can do, you can check it. I don't have anything close by me to show you. Even if you take a packet of biscuits, you see a batch number. That means in that particular batch, maybe we do not know. Batch number helps them to identify their cost, because costing is done according to that particular batch number. So real life example. So actually that is the learning and not the calculation. I hope it's clear to everyone. Right. Now, we will still, we are at the level, so it's okay, no problem. I'm not that much worried about calculation. You can do calculation at any time, with your freedom. You do it. It's not a big deal nowadays. Why cost matters? Why are we worried about costs? Because if you do not know the costs, you can't control things. Especially in business organizations, you can't spend, um, or utilize resources freely. You need to control. How do we control? Control To control, you need to know the costs, and that could be matched with your budgets and other things. Therefore, what are you going to control? Maybe your resources, your operations, processes, activities, particular units from the department, sectors, and branches, any task likewise. To control, you need to know the costs. If the cost is too high, you might say no. So we can have only this much, likewise. If you do not know, that particular cost may be kept being incurred. After some times, it would be too late for us to know. No use. Then determine the price of cost objects. So price also, price in the sense, selling price, or we can say setting the price, or I use the word determine. Why? Price is important for two purposes. So price number one is just to put into the market. That's the market or the selling price. And there is another price, what we call quoted price. We have quote prices. So in most of the cases, when you cater for big tenders, big contracts, big supplies, then you can't simply release goods. If the consumable items you can release, large multinational companies, maybe Unilever's is one of the largest multinational companies operating in Sri Lanka. It manufactures almost of all the consumers, I mean, items. So it has a big market share, not the share market, right? Normal market. Unilever is not a public, listed company in Sri Lanka. It's a private public company, but not listed. So it operates and earns lots. So they release goods, so distribute. That is the market price. Sometimes they also quote prices, may not be that much interested in because they have a huge market share. But other organization may be getting a contract from the government, supplies. So you saw, maybe last month, some private entrepreneurs supplied, um, like what you call antigen testing kits to the government, simply violating the bidding process. But had the bidding process gone, they may have documentation for bidding process, but it is a fact that public secret that it was given to known people, friends, to earn money. That is something. So these kind of things are happening. And anyway, uh, but if you want to really compete or win the bids or the contract, you need to quote the price. You have to tell the government that, so this is the price at which I'm going. If it happens in a competitive environment, you need to know the cost. If it happens in like, arbitrary basis, like in the case of antigen testing, you can take. So you get together, you say, okay, this month I will pay you 50,000 or 10,000 rupees for one unit. Then your task is to buy it from somewhere else less than 10,000, supply it to them. Or already you know that your cost is 1,000. You agree with the government to sell it at 10,000. That's it. So exceptions are always there. Exceptions are always there. But under normal circumstances, price is used to sell products or to quote price. Measure performance. Price is also the cost matters, to measure the performance of different departments, units, in what way. Sometimes departments are given tasks or goals to manufacture certain things with limited number of resources. So therefore, your performance depends on, right, how best you have minimized your costs. So with the least cost, whether you have achieved the job or you have used all the resources and produce the maximum result, maximum benefits. So either way, your performance could be in terms of number of products or in terms of saving, that is efficiency. So efficiency or productivity. These are the two things can be measured by using costs. To report for various things, to report. Reporting is not simply writing a report, just informing the other party. The party who needs that information, maybe the manager wants to know about the cost of production of a tire, cost of production of this local syrup, Dhammika Pani. So in that case, producer, owner, everyone is one person. I mean, to the general public, one person, but there are many. So he wants to show the cost, how much was spent, how much money was taken. Then you have to give a report. Or just verbally, you can give a telephone call and report. Or manager might ask, so what is the cost of a tire? What is the cost of a vaccine to be imported for COVID-19? Then you do all these analysis, calculation, exchange rate, import duty, and all this, if they are there. So add all those costs and tell, hey boss, this is the cost. It cost 10,000 rupees. If it is in the private sector, they might decide, oh, is there any way of making it compulsory to inject all the people in Sri Lanka at maybe specified price, maybe 20, 15,000 or 20, at any price you can inject, if it is made to be compulsory, right? If you assume that situation in future, there may be market opportunities. If the government says, so you are not allowed to move unless you have the certificate showing that COVID-19 is negative, what happens? I believe in future, this is going to be a reality. It's going to be a mafia of these drug sellers for sure in future. It becomes our normal practice. By that time, no one would criticize. Now we can see, oh, how. No, it could be a reality. Maybe arranged in different ways. So many bad things are there. Anyway, going back to the matter, reporting purposes, telling. But sometimes you may produce physical reports. And another reporting is financial statements. That is why we call, when we prepare financial statements for shareholders and other stakeholders, we say that we are reporting or financial reporting. You may have learned that subject, financial reporting. Reporting means you report performance, position, cash flows, inflows, financial values to other parties who do not have the access to that information. That's why you report. If other party knows, you need to report. That party doesn't know. So this is pretty much important in business management. And apart from these major things, there could be so many other various types of decision making, either to invest in that product, produce a scrap, buy, sell. So many different decisions, wide range of decisions are taken. To support all those decisions, you need to know the cost, right? So then I just gave you a very broad picture of costs and its uses. Some factors that influence the cost ascertainment. So cost ascertainment is one step before job cost. So determination of cost. Therefore, when we learn job costing, actually you are learning cost ascertainment as well. In the job costing, you are doing cost ascertainment. What type of cost ascertainment? Cost ascertainment of a job. Clear? Job costing is cost ascertainment of a job. That's it. That's another way of defining job costing. What factors influence? type of the industry. So airline industry, automobile industry, telecommunication industry, tire manufacturing industry, any other manufacturing industry, shipbuilding. So nature of this, the process, like production processes are totally different. Therefore, cost also vary. Again, you need to know about the competition. Competition also influence the cost attainment. If you in a highly competitive business environment, actually cost really matters. You need to do a meticulous cost calculation. If it is a, just imagine the perfectly competitive market that you learn in economics, as Adam Smith explained. What happens? What drives the market? Market price. Market price. Just market price. Just excuse me. Nimazar. Body lecture එකක ඉන්නේ හදිසියද? Right. So competition, I was just talking about the competition. If you live in such a competitive market, you got to be very careful and calculate your cost accurately. Why? If your cost gives you wrong information, you would be out of the market for sure, or you would be in the market but making huge losses. But your competition is like suppose that there is no competition at all. You live in a monopolistic market. You have the monopoly, right? Then actually cost is important to decide some other aspects. But as far as the market price is concerned, or just to carry out the business, you need not to worry that much. You whatever the cost incurred, you collect everything. Okay, this is my total cost, one by one. After this, cost come to 10,000. You are the monopoly. In the case of this vaccine, assume that only one company acquires all the vaccine manufacturers and says that tomorrow, together with the support of the government, says that everyone should have this particular vaccine. First is 50,000. Otherwise, you can't go out. Then you have to accumulate. You have to sacrifice your food. You have to sacrifice your entertainment. You have to sacrifice all those things and collect 50,000 and pay 50,000 to that person. So I saw one nice video clip, but later on I was not able to find. I'm trying in case if someone, you guys might just send it to me. Even his name is also, I mean, I can't remember. One Spanish scientist. When this corona COVID outbreak is initiated first, the outbreak came first time in March, somewhere March or April. He started doing a particular research by using RNA technology. Because I'm not good, I do not know much, but I was convinced the way in the way he explained things. So he was explaining how it is going to cure this, how this RNA technology, the vaccine developed by using that technology would cure the disease and fight against the disease through the enhancement of immune system of your body. So likewise, he was explaining everything. I have been doing all those things. I have come to a certain level. So if the government support me, I can easily produce these things within a short period of time. But I'm not going to give this formula, or I'm not going to proceed further until and unless the World Health Organization comes forward and makes a ruling or makes a decision to make this particular vaccine available to everyone in this world free. That is what he said, free, because this cannot be sold, because this finding, my finding, cannot be given to companies to earn profits, because this is something related to health. Health should not be decided based on the money that you have in your pocket. If you, so those who have more money should not have good health, whereas those who do not have money should die like mm, pieces of useless papers or useless creatures. So that is really bad. It question lots of things about the humanity. I think so. He's a great human, that scientist. So I think that his effort was not successful. That's why after a couple of months' time, so his efforts were simply just thrown out, and the companies started doing the experiments, and now there are so many, including not only one company, there are so many companies fighting, and even local medicines and all these things. So actually, what is traded there? Not the vaccine. Actually, your fear. Your fear is being traded for money. Your health is being traded. That is really dangerous. Anyway, I just told you something extra. So sometimes I goes like move away from the topic. So no worries, always. So we'll come back. Then the nature of the cost object. What type of product, whether it is a house or small pin or nut, bolt, ship, it depends. The nature of the production process, how the production process takes place. Different production processes are also there. Some production processes, you take everything and in one go, you can finish the product. In the case of bread production, once you mix everything and put them into that particular burner, then you get it out. So easy. There are no any other complicated processes. Making some stuff, it would not be that much. So, for example, you want to buy maybe what not king coconut, king coconut. You want to buy. You ask the seller to open it and drink it. Process is very easy. There are no complications. Cut it open and you drink it. But if you take the same king coconuts and in large quantities and manufacture bottle king coconut water, lots of processes. You need to make sure the quality of the water same similar, because when you take king coconuts from different trees or maybe different times also, the taste would vary. Test the taste, make sure the same taste, or otherwise make some additives, use some additives to bring the taste into one quality, to make sure that so it would not be really spoiled. You need to have a good storage capacity. So you now you can understand. So if you manufacture bottled king coconut water, production process would be complex. Then the production time, how much time? So in the same example you can take. So cutting and opening a king coconut, drinking, very short period of time, and the bottling process takes a long time. So longer the time, greater the processes, complex the processes, greater the costs. Shorter the time, so it's not a hard and fast rule, but if the time is short, relatively, cost would be very low. Then whether you use technology or not. So if you do not use technology, even cost would be different, but again, the productivity also would be different. It is now everyone knows that without technology, we can do without technology, but efficiency, productivity would be a problem. Then efficiency of documentation also. If you do not keep your documentation in a proper manner, you would not be able to trace costs. Sometimes you may have incurred lots of costs, but you don't have documents maintained properly. Then in the calculation, you simply ignore, you do not know, so they are omitted. Then you end up with totally wrong cost calculation. So therefore, documentation also matters. So if the documentation can be maintained online, that would be really good. That's why nowadays there is an argument that the most efficient cost calculation and all those systems, as of now, in future we do not know. As of now, this blockchain technology would help us to simplify all those things through blocks, and all the information is made available. So whenever a buyer and seller meet to buy something or trade something, need not to worry about, need not to ask that and this whether it is good or bad. uh, so every information is readily available in an efficient form. You cannot be cheated. If you buy it, if it is well, that's it. Then the costing method used, as I just explained, whether it is any particular tool under specific method, or later I will be discussing, or continuous order um, costing system. Competencies and experience of employees, of course. If your employees are competent enough, very skillful, cost would be low relatively. If they are not skillful and not competent, you need to train them. Even if you train them, productivity would be low, then the cost would be very high. In that case, actually Sri Lankans, even all over the world, to some extent, the productivity is relatively high. Then the organization culture. So this is a different organization culture, behavior and practices. We need to comply with them. So as a result, also cost ascertainment would vary. Then need for costing methods. Why do you need to have costing methods? Different systems of cost ascertainment. Then already we know that no matter whether it is a job or process, we need to ascertain costs of cost objects. How are we going to facilitate? You need to have a method, whether it is a specific order or continuous. Within these two different techniques, tools, whatever. Even you can come out with your own method. Whatever method, there should be a method. Then if you do not have a costing method, where it would be very difficult for managers to take decision. Therefore, we can say that costing methods support decision-making process. And costing methods, as they depend on the nature of the business, product, and industry, like different methods emerge depending on the business, products, and nature of the industry. So therefore, for different industries, different businesses, different products, we need to have different costing methods. That's why we need them. And finally, different costing methods emerge, come out as a result of mode of productions of the organization, mode of productions. In other words, how the production tasks have been organized. So one is the customized production mode or continuous homogeneous production mode. Customized mean you catering for a customer. So customized production mode is more or less related to job costing. Continuous homogeneous production means similar types of production continuously you manufacture, like in the case of healthcare equipment, so other items, healthcare items or beauty items, large number. Then these costing systems are divided into two branches: specific order costing and continuous. Actually, don't be misled with the word order. It does not simply mean that we are manufacturing only for orders undertaken. No, actually, this word comes from the past. In the past, yes, it was like this. You take an order, then manufacture. Because of that, even now this happens. But I mean that this is not true always. But it implies, it reveals specific order costing means you have a specific task. So therefore, in specific order costing system, actually job costing relates to specific order costing system. Whenever we have specific order system, the job costing is also a kind of specific order costing system. The rest is the continuous operation that would be learned after this lecture, that is the process. So this is applicable when the final product comes through series of continuous processes. Tire manufacturing. First, you need to take the raw rubber and then convert them into sheets. After that, another fermentation for some more time and design, cut into different sizes, arrange it, then mold them, and again setting some other maybe some iron rods are required to be embedded fixed into this rubber likewise. So different processes are there. It happens if you go to a manufacturing company, you can see all those things. Then costing methods. Main methods, continuous and specific. And in textbooks, these are the common ways of classifying, but other than this, there could be different methods as well. Job means, yes, as I just told you, specific job. Contract, so you sign a contract and then carry out the task. Therefore, it is a specific order. Therefore, that particular contract is also a part of your job costing in a way. A batch, that particular batch only. So specific order costing. So then you accumulate all the cost for that particular batch and decide the cost of total batch. That is not processing, but you take an order for the batch. Continuous, it may happen in different forms as processes, as I just told you. Tire manufacturing is continuous process all the time. Mm. Book manufacturing, maybe um, drug manufacturing, automobile manufacturing. It's a process, right? So it continues. Paper manufacturing, or most of manufacturing takes place in processes. And some operations, also continuous operations, may be seen. For example, oil drilling. Processes also may be there. It's continuous. So sometimes you can see that Sapugastan, the oil refinery plant, those who live over there or those who bypass that area, you can see a particular tower. All the time you see a flame on top of it because it's continuously producing. Operations are continuous. Electricity generation, like the distribution, it's a continuous processing system. Then costing is not that easy, difficult. Unit and services, continuous order costing may take place in particular units of departments, or maybe with respect to even particular item, but to great extent maybe a particular department or the unit continuously engage in supporting something, say emergency services in a hospital. It's a continuous order costing system. Continuously, you are providing these particular services. So on, like you must be ready on this, right? Mm. But other departments may have their own freedom of doing operations, or maybe providing services like material handling, purchase orders, maintenance of orders, things like that. In the process, additional outcomes are also there. That's called joint and byproduct. You will be learning under the process costing, and I'm not going to explain it. Quickly, we will take up this activity. So think little. I'll take one by one. Name the appropriate costing method suitable for each of the following production followings. Mode of production of goods or services. Following production of goods or services. Number one, providing assurance services. Number two, manufacturing of bottled drinking yogurts. Tile manufacturing. Building houses according to customer specification. Providing legal services to clients. Manufacturing of rice. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. think for a while. First one, yeah, if you want, you can type 1, 2, 3. So even chat, or you can say if it is job costing one, process costing, or specific. So the two methods, specific order and continuous. If it is specific order, you can put number one. If it is continuous, number two.